All right, shalom. First, I'd like to start by saying all praise to Yahweh Shemam Shai, Bashim Kakadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles that rule well, and salutations to the brothers that's doing the truth and sincerity. Now, this is just a point out of the book of Pagan Christianity. This is on page 18. It says, Constantine, father of the church building. It says, while the Emperor Constantine, 285 to 337, is often lauded for granting Christians freedom of worship and expanding their privileges, his story fills a dark page in the history of Christianity. And Constantine was an Israelite. He wasn't no Edomite. It says, church buildings began with him. The story is astonishing, right? Because eventually Israel became the church, according to 1 Corinthians, Salakia. First Corinthians chapter 3, verse 9, for we are laborers together with the Most High. Ye are the Most High's husbandry, ye are the Most High's building. Right, so eventually Israel became the churches, and the church was done away with, man. Acts chapter 7, verse 48, howbeit the Most High dwelleth not in temples made with hands, as said the prophet. Heaven is my throne, earth is my footstool. What house will ye build me, said the Lord, or what is the place of my rest? Right, so according to the Bible, you're not supposed to be in the church because you are the church, for you Christians. It says, by the time Constantine emerged on the scene, the atmosphere was ripe for Christians to escape their despised minority status. It says the temptation to be accepted was just too great to resist, and Constantine's influence began in earnest. It says in AD 312, Constantine became Caesar of the Western Empire. By 324, he became emperor of the entire Roman Empire shortly afterward. He began ordering the construction of the church buildings. He did so to promote the popularity and acceptance of Christianity, which is actually pagan Christianity, hence the name of the book. This Acts chapter 13, verse 1. Now there were in the church that was at Antioch certain prophets and teachers, as Barnabas and Simeon, that was called Niger Black. Is this the one I wanted? Salaki, forgive me. Oh, yeah. And Lucius of Cyrene and Manaen, which had been brought up with Herod the Tetrarch and Saul. Oh, this is the one. I find it. The prophets were being called Christians, man. This is in AD 312, Constantine became Caesar of the Western Empire. It says, if the Christians had their own sacred buildings, as did the Jews and the pagans, their faith would be regarded as legitimate. And the Jews were Israelites, just like the Christians were Israelites, man. And Jacob was pagans back then, too. It says, it's important to understand Constantine's mindset, for it explained why he was so enthusiastic about the establishment of the church buildings. Constantine's thinking was dominated by superstition and pagan magic. Even after he became emperor, he allowed the old pagan institutions to remain as they were. It says, following his conversion to Christianity, Constantine never abandoned sun worship. Hold on, I got one. This 2 Corinthians chapter 6, verse 14. Damn, sorry. It says, be ye not unequally yoked together with unbelievers. For what fellowship hath righteousness with unrighteousness? And what communion hath light with darkness? And what concord hath Yahushua with Belial, which is the devil? And what part hath he that believeth with an infidel? Right, man. So you ain't got no business trying to hold hands and be extra friendly with these Christians, man, because they eventually finna die, you know. And Constantine was a pagan sun worshiper. That's what it says, following his conversation to Christianity, Constantine never abandoned sun worship. He kept the sun on his coins, and he set up a statue of the sun god and bore his own image in the form of Constantinople, his new capital, right? So the churches and everything now go back to pagan worship. All the church thing was done away with a long time ago. Constantine also built a statue of the mother goddess Cybele, though he presented her in a posture of Christian prayer. It says historians continue to debate whether or not Constantine was a genuine Christian. It says the fact that he is reported to have had his eldest son, his nephew, and his brother-in-law executed does not strengthen the case for his conversion. It says, but we will not probe that nerve too deeply here. It says in AD 321, Constantine decreed that Sunday would be a day of rest and a legal holiday. And we know that the Sabbath day switches with the new moon. It isn't on Saturday. Constantine was bringing in paganism into the church. The fuck? You know, so those who call themselves Christian nowadays and going to church, y'all all worship paganism. And eventually y'all gonna be put to death. That's why all this chaos and all this destruction going on, all these so-called innocent people dying. It's Hosea chapter 4, verse 6. My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. Because thou hast rejected knowledge, I will also reject thee. Right, and that's why all these forest fires is happening, these crazy events, all these police killing Jake them, because Jake them rejected the knowledge. It says, for all the unfaithful shall die in their unfaithfulness. It says, I will also reject thee, that thou shalt be no priest to me. Right, so that's why it's an elect, and it ain't that many of us out there on the highways and byways. The Lord preaches his men that's teaching his word, man. Seeing thou hast forgotten the law of thy power, I will also forget thy children. Right, and a lot of these kids are dying too. So it says, in AD 321, Constantine decreed that Sunday would be a day of rest, a legal holiday. It appears that Constantine's intention in doing this was to honor the god Mithras, the unconquered sun. He described Sunday as the day of the sun, further demonstrating Constantine's affinity with sun worship. Excavations of St. Peter's in Rome uncovered a mosaic of Christ as the unconquered sun. It says, almost his dying day, Constantine still functioned as the high priest of paganism. In fact, he retained the pagan title Pontifex Maximus, which means chief of the pagan priests. In the 15th century, this same title became the honorific title for the Roman Catholic Pope. Right, because Roman Catholic Pope is a pagan also. So those that's worshiping paganism or going to church and calling themselves Christian nowadays without having the full understanding. Let me find that precept. Select I'm looking for this precept. This is Acts chapter 11, verse 26. It says, and when he had found him, he brought him unto Antioch. And it came to pass that a whole year they assembled themselves with the church and taught much people, and the disciples were called Christians first in Antioch. So, with that being said, call all y'all brothers from Shine, double honors to the elders and apostles to rule well, and citations to the brothers that's doing the truth and sincerity. Shalom.